This is Southern Gospel Now, episode 101. I'm Greg Goodman, bringing you these weekly reports about what's happening in Southern Gospel music. Southern Gospel Now is made possible by SouthernGospelPrizes.com. Southern Gospel Prizes for Southern Gospel fans. SouthernGospelPrizes.com. We begin this week with health concerns for Autumn Clark of the Nelons. There is concern that Autumn may have cancer. Mom Kelly Nealon Clark tells us about the health trek that the family has been on.
So we went down to Emory to the cancer center. That was unbelievable. You don't think you're going to face cancer in your life or your children's life, and it was very eye-opening. Boy, they were so good. They told us everything, what was going to go on, and of course they tested it. And now this is number 3, and they tested it and said that they thought it was atypical, which means that it's not cancer. They wanted to send it to somebody else. They sent it to someone else, and they thought it was atypical. So then they sent it to a 5th person. They just weren't really sure. So we just got the call today that it has been sent to a 6th person, and they're examining it, and they're going to let us know what they think it is, and that's where we're at right now. And it's just been a roller coaster. It could just be a miracle in the making. I look for God to do miraculous things, and I know that no matter what happens, all things work together for good to them that love the Lord, and we believe that. We believe that for Autumn, no matter what happens.
We are certainly keeping Autumn in our prayers. The Old Pass have been promising us a new name for the group for some time now. The big reveal has finally taken place. Steve Ladd fills us in.
After a decision and an announcement back in December of last year, we decided to change our name, and nothing musically or stylistically, but just a new direction with a new name. And then going through a personnel change kind of put that all on hold. And so we are now pleased to announce to the world that our new name going forward is going to be Anthem Edition.
So henceforth, the Old Pass are now known as Anthem Edition. How about a little Southern Gospel trivia? How many times in their career did the Cathedrals win the Singing News Fan Award for Favorite Group? The answer later in our broadcast. Sonia Browder of the Browders tells us the story behind the Browders' current hit, Because He Said So.
I remember the day that Joseph Habedank and Matthew, my husband, wrote Because He Said So in our living room here in Kingsport, Tennessee. Joseph's wife is from our home area, and the Browders have been friends with her family for many years, and I think Joseph and Lindsay had come in for Christmas, and somehow Matt and Joseph decided it'd be a good time to write. So they sat there one afternoon and came up with this great tune, great message. I remember as they were writing, they were thinking about different artists that would sound good recording this particular song. And fast forward to when the Browders were recording again, we were short a fast song and something for me to sing. And I said, well, can I take a try at Because He Said So? And they let me sing it.
Joseph Habedank is approaching a big anniversary in his sobriety journey and hopes to help others.
I've been in recovery from prescription drug addiction for 10 years this year on May the 25th. And something I've always been really passionate about is helping other addicts, alcoholics, and their families. Something I thought about doing, God kind of laid on my heart, was doing recovery talks and kind of talking about the things that have helped me through my recovery, and especially at the beginning, because the beginning's often the toughest part. So in the days to come, I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about my recovery journey, how I got started, how I kind of came to the end of myself, how I got help, and the things that I did and that God allowed me to do to stay clean and sober. So I hope you'll tune in. Lindsay and I have been working on a name. We think we've decided on Recovery Talk. We're going to call it that for now.
Be looking for Recovery Talk from Joseph Habedank on Facebook. The sound made some unlikely friends a couple of years back and have stayed in contact with his family from Brazil. Levi Mills fills us in.
In 2020, we were asked to perform on the GMA Dove Awards, and it was broadcast worldwide. So we had a woman named Anna reach out to us on Instagram and let us know that her family had really enjoyed the performance and that they loved the song that we had performed called Make It Count. They had shared with us that for the past 5 years, they had been praying that they would be able to move to the United States, where Anna's husband could continue a career in medicine, And so they had been praying and hoping for that for a long time. And just a few months ago, that prayer was finally answered, and they were able to move to the United States. And they caught a show of ours in South Florida just a couple of weeks ago. And they had just shared with us what an encouragement the music had been to them, and that their theme song as a family that they had chosen was Make It Count, because of its message of encouragement and how it spoke to their situation. So it was a wonderful story of encouragement.
Ernie Haase's Signature Sound's current radio single is I Know My Savior Cares. Ernie gives us the backstory on the song.
The song, I Know My Savior Cares, was birthed out of one of those days when I was just fretting, worrying, and eventually the light goes on in your mind and you're like, you know what? This has went way past concern. There's nothing wrong with having concern over situations in your life, but taking the weight of the world on your own shoulders and worrying and fretting and being anxious and not going straight to prayer and petition and thanksgiving, that's when you are mistrusting the Savior. You're not trusting. You have a misplaced trust. And so that's where it all came from.
Southern gospel groups definitely develop their own particular sound and style. Gus Gacious talks about the sound and feel of tribute quartets music.
The most important thing about picking songs is to get ones that touch us. And if it touches us, it touches other people. Second to that is, can we do it? It may be the greatest song in the world, but it may not be good for us. It may not be something that fits into our sound. And so we look for things that, first off, move us. And if it moves us, 95% of the time, we're going to do it. But then we look for stuff that we can, develop our sound on and make it ours. Make it something that has that tribute sound and feel to it.
A little extra time off can do us all good. Kim Hopper talks about the Hoppers being very strategic and their plans for time away from the road.
We have been trying since COVID to sing like 3 weekends, which consists of about 4 days a week, 3 to 4 days a week, and then take a week off because Miss Connie and Mr. Claude are a little bit older, and we should say they're more experienced. They kind of have enjoyed having a little more time at home. And we found out during COVID that we really liked our beds at home, that they sleep real well. And we're not in them a whole lot. So we decided that we would try to take more time off when we got back on the road full time. And that's what we've been trying to do.
Returning to our trivia question, how many Singing News Fan Awards did the Cathedrals earn during their career for favorite group? The correct answer is 8. Southern Gospel Trivia is powered by Murray's Expanded Encyclopedia of Southern Gospel Music. Taking a look at the Power 50 weekly chart, Tribute Quartet reigned supreme for a second week with Halfway Up the Mountain. Well, that's it for this week. If you missed episodes of Southern Gospel Now along the way, you can find them wherever you find podcasts or listen at southerngospelnow.com. Southern Gospel Now is brought to you by SouthernGospelPrizes.com. You can check out the current prize packs offered at SouthernGospelPrizes.com. I'm Greg Goodman. Thank you for listening. Love your neighbor. And I'll see you next week for another edition of Southern Gospel Now.